Tonight on SportsDesk, Canes football faces their toughest test yet as Miami travels to the Lone Star State to take on Texas A&M.
Plus, one Canes soccer player faced some challenges that almost forced her to give up the game. Reporter Andrew Klein has the story.
And later on, Canes hoops may not be back on the hardwood, but Miami fans are already excited to pack the Watsco Center.
All that and a whole lot more on tonight's show.
SportsDesk starts right now.
I'm Ed Reed, and you're watching SportsDesk.
Hi, I'm Jim Kelly, former UM guy. You're watching SportsDesk.
What's up? I'm DJ Williams, and y'all watching SportsDesk.
Hello and welcome to SportsDesk. I'm Embrick Isles.
And I'm Wyatt Kopelman. Good evening. Embrick, the Hurricanes are going over to College Station. Big showdown in the Lone Star State.
No, yeah, Wyatt, it should definitely be a fun game at College Station. But before we preview this week's matchup against Texas A&M, let's see how the Canes played last weekend versus Southern Mississippi. After a blowout win last week versus Bethune-Cookman, Miami was back at Hard Rock Stadium on Saturday to take on Southern Miss. Let's head up I-95 to Hard Rock Stadium to see if the Canes could keep the momentum going against the Golden Eagles. Miami coming off a blow-off win, against Bethune-Cookman. Henry Parrish going to fight his way in after Miami did not have a good first half, but it would be all Miami in the second half. Flea flicker here, Tyler Van Dyke to Keyshawn Smith over the middle, touchdown Hurricanes, and it would be Miami all from here. Keyshawn Smith putting the Canes up 24-7, him celebrating with his teammates. And now Zach Wilkie going to look to the corner, picked off by Tyreek Stevenson. Was unsure if he was going to return this year, but has been good so far for the Canes. And now again, Wilkie going to go rush to his right. And it's going to be knocked out there by Chance Williams as he's going to pick it up and recover it. Canes defense has been very good so far this year. They're going to be tested against Texas A&M. Miami would go on to win this game 30-7. Miami traveling to College Station to face their toughest test yet.
The Canes are riding a 2-game win streak, but they will face their toughest test yet this season. Miami will travel to College Station on Saturday to Kyle Field to take on a Texas A&M Aggie squad in front of a sold-out crowd. What will the Canes have to do to come out on top? Our In the Trenches crew is here to get you ready for the top 25 matchup. Guys?
Welcome to In the Trenches. I'm your host, Ethan Gainey, alongside our analyst, Cal Friedman. So, Cal, this past Saturday, the Sun Belt ran wild. Marshall beat Notre Dame, App State beat Texas A&M, and it looked for a moment like Southern Miss might beat Miami, but Miami was able to turn it around in the second half. What made the difference?
Yeah, it was a slow first half for the Miami Hurricanes in Mario Cristobal's second game, but the defensive line really shifted the tempo in that week number 2. Kevin Steele did a great job with his defensive line, working not just as a unit, not just as an individual, but as a unit. Let's take a look at some of the plays that Miami were able to pull off against Southern Miss. Let's first watch these 4 work together here against Southern Miss. This is early on here in the second quarter. Hurricanes trailing. Southern Miss are going to bring a guard to the outside, which is going to restrict Zach Wilkie's pocket. It's going to be on the edges. Mitchell Goody at the top, Jafari Harvey at the bottom to create pressure on this play and bring Jake Lichtenstein off of his block. He's able to record his first sack as a Hurricane. 3 Hurricane sacks in this win over Southern Miss, but that wasn't just it. The run defense was phenomenal in this game. Leonard Taylor, 56, was absolutely dominant. Here he's going to get a one-on-one with John Boulding, and he's going to execute a perfect swim move just inside of him to get to the running back, Frank Gore Jr. Miami shut down Gore, shut down the Southern Miss run game, and were able to get that win in convincing fashion.
Right, and Taylor was almost invisible in the first game against Bethune-Cookman. They needed him, and he came up big time in that game. So now, Cal, the moment that we've all been waiting for, right? So Canes going into Texas A&M, over 100,000 fans, and now for the first time ever, it's time for Friedman's final takes. Cal, let me hear him.
Well, Miami's going to be faced with a challenge in this game, and let's start right there. That Texas A&M crowd is going to be loud. Miami has to start strong. Jimbo Fisher's Aggies 25-0 when they lead after the first. Hurricanes were 0-3 when trailing after the first last season. They have to start strong, and they also have to do it from the opening kickoff with special teams. That's going to be a big key in this game. Devin Achane of Texas A&M had a 95-yard kickoff return last week for 6, the second most return yards in the NCAA, only to Keyshawn Smith. And finally, the most important thing thing, Ethan. Miami has to protect Tyler Van Dyke. There's no other way around it. Miami will not win this game if Tyler Van Dyke is not at his best. If they keep him upright and give him time to make plays, Miami has a chance to pull the upset.
Absolutely, and Van Dyke spoke about opening the playbook as well, which is something that he will only be able to do. He'll only be able to sling it down the field if he gets that protection you spoke about. So that's all the time we have left for this week's edition of In the Trenches. Back to you guys at the desk.
The Miami Hurricanes have sent over 60 players to the first round of the NFL draft, some of which has dominated as tight ends. I got the chance to learn how tight end Will Mallory is making the most of his journey in his 5th season in Coral Gables. Team captain Will Mallory has returned to wear a Miami uniform for a 5th season to lead the Hurricanes tight ends. And the chance to play for the Canes one last time is one he doesn't take for granted.
I was excited because I didn't get that redshirt year my freshman year. I wish I could have. I'm just fortunate that I get this opportunity. So I wasn't ready to leave yet. I'm glad I get this last chance and just make the most of it.
Mallory looks to do so after overcoming a shoulder surgery in the spring season. And as he looks to dominate in an offense led by Josh Gaddis, the veteran tight end has turned to faith to guide his recovery and prepare him for the fall season.
At some point, it's not in your hands anymore. You know, you just got to put trust and into the bigger picture that God has for you. So, that's something I think I've come to realize and stuff. You can't control everything.
And with the strength that faith has provided him to create his own legacy at the U, drawing inspiration from Miami tight ends that came before him.
Growing up, my dad coached for the Saints, so Jeremy Shockey was there. And I remember always wearing his jersey, so that's the one I always looked up to. And then a couple years later, Jimmy Graham was there. And then Greg Olson's always been a guy that I've looked to up on and off the field.
A fully healthy and experienced tight end is back, and the Hurricanes know the spark Mallory can provide to the Miami offense.
He can do anything. He can block. He can go out for a short pass, deep pass, and separate from defenders. He's growing every day, and he's trying to get better every day, so I see it day in and day out. He's trying to make the young guys better, and he's always just trying to do everything right.
Getting Will Mallory back, that's another piece that, we didn't have in the spring. He's a big-time player. He's a guy that we're going to look forward to and lean on in a lot of critical situations because of the type of player that he is.
With Miami season underway and a trip to College Station tomorrow night, Mallory looks to leave an impact on the next generation of Miami tight ends and make a case for the NFL. Reporting for UMTV, I'm Wyatt Kopelman.
College athletes can now make money through sponsorships. The name, image, and likeness law was enacted in June 2020, and some college athletes are now being paid millions of dollars per year. Lead reporter Daryl Barnes has a story.
You push it in, you pull it down.
Harry Rothwell is the owner of the Miami Hurricanes gift shop called All Canes, where he's been a college sports fan for more than 30 years.
Dwayne Johnson when he was a player here.
But he said that last year, something felt different.
It's just different times. Between that and transfer portal, it's not good old college football or baseball or basketball anymore. Kids are looking at things a lot differently than they used to.
And by that, Harry means NIL, or name, image, and likeness. Last July, Florida passed legislature allowing students to profit off their name, image, and likeness. But the lack of regulation on such deals left people like Harry uneasy.
When the state started approving the right to be able to do that last year, then it was a wild, wild west.
But this summer, Harry's store and others around the country began partnering with student athletes and jersey manufacturers. For the first time ever, this new deal allows All Canes to sell officially licensed jerseys with players' names on the back.
For years, fans have been able to get replica jerseys like these, which come with the number 1 and the number of the year it is, and then have no name on the back. But now, with these new partnerships, athletes say they're excited to see fans repping not just their number, but their last name.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. Never had that before, so it's definitely cool to have those jerseys out there and have everyone be supported.
Players will make around $3 per jersey sale, but some think it's more about the recognition than the money.
College, that's just different. Like, a lot of people know who you are, and then they repping your number too. That's a good feeling, yeah.
And Harry hopes that deals like these can help people look at NIL in a new light.
Now you can help your favorite player by giving them a little extra cash and get the jersey you want to wear.
For UMTV, I'm Daryl Barnes.
And what they do.
Coming up on SportsDesk, Daryl Barnes is live at the Knight Sports Complex where Canes Volleyball has their home opener with a big weekend of action ahead starting tonight. Don't go anywhere.
Chance high five. All right. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique.
And your mother
I am totally a hot person. Right, guys? Thanks for being honest. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org.
Canes volleyball has started the season 7-2, and tonight is their home opener. Miami is hosting the South Carolina Gamecocks for the opening match of the Hurricane Invitational here in Coral Gables. Lead reporter Daryl Barnes is live at the Knight Sports Complex. Daryl, how are the Canes playing?
Guys, here at the Knight Sports Complex, it hasn't been the greatest start that the Canes were hoping for. They dropped the first 2 sets to the South Carolina Gamecocks, but the more interesting story here is the fan turnout. We have people leaving here, but look over there. That's just a small stands. Those are pretty packed. If you come over here and take a look at the big stands, you can't see from this angle, but if you're on the other side, it's been a surprisingly large turnout. This is despite the rain, despite the big Texas A&M football game versus UM, but it'll be interesting to see, can this help the Canes come back? But for more on the OSports and on all the OSports and volleyball, we're going to send it back to the studio for Michael and Gavin.
Thanks, Daryl, for the update. And Canes fans, welcome to this week's edition of the OSports Roundup. I'm Gavin Bishow.
And I'm Michael Muella. Gavin, speaking of volleyball and the big matchup tonight, why don't you recap this past week for the Canes and what's in store for the road ahead?
Of course, Mike, the Miami Hurricanes volleyball team struggled this past weekend in Orlando, limping to a 1-2 record. The girls entered the UCF Invitational at a perfect 6-0, but that win streak would come to an end. The Canes lost their first 2 matches to UIC and host UCF, but bounced back with a win in the Sunday matinee against UNC Wilmington. The Hurricanes currently sit at 7-2 on the season as they head into their last stretch of non-conference opponents. That journey starts tonight as the Canes kick off the Hurricane Invitational, hosting South Carolina here at the Knight Complex on the University of Miami Coral Gables campus. The Gamecocks come to Miami after a 2-game sweep of the Cincinnati Bearcats with an overall record of 5-3 and should yet be another challenge for Coach Kino Gandara's squad. The Canes finish the Invitational playing number 20 ranked Oregon on Sunday at noon before playing host to Louisville next Friday in their first ACC matchup. Now, Mike, the Canes volleyball team aren't the only ones gearing up for a big matchup this weekend.
Thanks, Gav, and certainly not. Canes soccer begins ACC conference play tomorrow night at Louisville, and a key player to watch is Melissa Dagenet. The senior goalkeeper has been incredible through the first 6 games, tallying 27 saves on 30 shots faced, good for 90% on the year. Dagenet is also averaging 4.5 saves per game, so look for her to lift the Canes to victory. Keep an eye out for forward Emma Pitting as well. The freshman has certainly played her part this season, appearing in every game and starting 5, and leads the team in assists with 2. So pay attention to number 14 wearing the orange and green. Also, congrats are in order for the Canes golf team, who finished tied for 5th in the Cougar Classic this week. Best scorer for Miami goes to Natalia Juseva, who finished at 5 under.
Great to hear from you, Mike. That's all the time we had this week for the OSports Roundup. Sending it back to you guys at the desk.
Watching sports is something that brings people together across the globe, but we don't always know the true battles that our favorite athletes face on the field and the court, or even off those fields. Andrew Klein sat down with one Hurricane athlete that has faced her toughest challenge off the field.
For sophomore Michaela Tupper, soccer is life. It has been since she was just 3 years old. But even something that's come so naturally to Michaela can have its downsides.
I mean, yeah, like I had quite a few problems last year, and I started just getting in my head a lot, which ended up leading to a lot of mental health problems, which actually led me to step away for a little bit.
After a freshman season that challenged her both on and off the field, Tupper had a change in her mental approach ahead of the start of her sophomore season.
You know, my family was just like, right now you need to learn that you need to do this for yourself. You can't do this for other people. You have to be happy. Like, if you're not happy, you're not going to be able to really go anywhere. Like, you're going to be stuck in this.
Her teammates and coaches were always there for her, especially Maya Rogers, who's been friends with Tupper since high school.
It's been really nice, being there for each other, and for her wins and my wins, being able to congratulate each other, while we're competing,
She was there for me a lot last year, a lot, saw me struggle and helped me through a lot of it.
We've grown to, comfort each other in our low points and be there for each other in our high points and things like that, and grown as people, I think, just throughout.
Tupper has worked hard to make a name for herself in head coach Sarah Barnes' program, and it all paid off against Oklahoma State when she scored her first career goal as a Hurricane.
It's actually funny because I thought I was offside. I don't know why, but it was like one of those things where I was like, did it just go in? And then I kind of I looked at the ref, and the ref did like the whistle, and I was like, oh my God, like I just scored.
The Hurricanes open up ACC play on Saturday night against Louisville, and Tupper looks to have a big role. Reporting for UMTV, I'm Andrew Klein.
Canes soccer opens ACC play on Saturday in Louisville, and goalkeeper Melissa Dagenet has been key in Miami's early season success. Brandy Troop sits down with the Hurricanes keeper on the first edition of Athlete of the Week.
Hello everyone, I am Brandy Troop and welcome to this edition of Athlete of the Week. I am joined by the Canes soccer goalie, Melissa Dagenet. Melissa, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Melissa, you are elite on the field. You definitely are the real deal. But I want to pick your brain for a quick second. I want to play in play or out of play.
All right,
Gonna lane some things. If you're feeling them, it's in play. Not feeling them, it's out of play, okay?
All right.
The iPhone 14 is coming out. In play or out of play?
Definitely in play.
Practice.
Okay.
In play or out of play?
I gotta say in play. My coach is watching. So.
High heels.
Out of play.
Netflix and chill.
Definitely in play.
In play. Makeup.
Out of play.
Sweatpants.
In play.
Love it. I think me and you can hang out.
Yeah, definitely.
Melissa, you are the Canes goalie. You are one of the best at what it is that you do. You really put your all into your craft. But I want to know, what are some personal goals of yours?
So for this season, personal goals, definitely finish top as goalkeeper in the ACC. And then, I mean, right now I think I'm like 5th or 3rd, not too sure, in NCAA. So, you know, finish as high as I can in that and just have like a good season overall.
Are you having fun when you're out there?
Yeah, for sure.
I want to talk to you really quickly about this Mississippi State game. 11 saves, girl. Talk about it. What was going through your head?
Just doing my thing, you know? Just killing it, having fun. You know, once you get like a few saves in, you're like, you know, feeling hot. So they just keep coming.
Well, we wish you all the best. Continue to just keep bringing it this season. I am Brandy Troop. That was the Canes goalie, the elite Canes goalie, Melissa Dagenet. And we'll see you next week for Athlete of the Week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Up next on SportsDesk, social media is excited for Miami's primetime showdown in Texas. Don't miss out on what's going on throughout Canes social media on Behind the Post. We'll be right back. But first, it's time for some trivia. Canes football is looking to stay undefeated this year with a trip to Texas A&M on Saturday. But when was the last time Miami took down the Aggies? Is it A, 2001, B, 2008, C, 2010, or D, 2013? The answer when we return.
Taught him how to hit a baseball, how to hit a receiver, the strike zone, the net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
Guys, any big special plans for the weekend?
I'm just going to hang out in the apartment, watch the football game, get some work done.
Nothing in particular. I mean, you seem like you have a good barbecue background, Michael.
Hey, you guys are more than welcome to come if you want.
Going to get some ribs, fries, everything?
Sweet potatoes, too.
Absolutely.
Please, thank
you.
Here
are AARP top tips on caregiver preparedness during coronavirus. Form a team that can help with caregiving tasks. Take an inventory of essential supplies in your loved one's home. Make a list of the care recipient's medications. Schedule regular calls to fight isolation. Finally, take care of yourself too. Follow the Centers for Disease Control's guidelines for coronavirus safety. For more caregiving tips, go to aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back. If you guessed B, you are correct. Miami defeated Texas A&M 41-23 in 2008 in their lone matchup with the Aggies.
The fall sports season is rolling along here in Coral Gables, and Niles Nassim is here to break down everything happening on Canes social media on this semester's first edition of Behind the Post. Niles?
Today is a really good day. Not just because it's Friday, but because it's a new season, which gives me every reason to return to the scene, if you know what I mean. I'm back, ladies and gentlemen, to host the most electrifying segment on TV with me, Niles Nassim, your host with the most. So when you see me on screen, it's time to once again go behind the post. It was all smiles as the Canes won by a country mile on Saturday against Southern Miss in what was a roller coaster of a game. Now Miami would struggle to get their offense rolling in the first half, but they came alive just at the right time. Now, they will come out hotter than your grandma's famous Jamaican jerk chicken in the second, and even threw a few tricks and flicks, as can be seen by this beautiful flea flicker play besides me. The Canes will go on to win the game 30-7 and move up 2 spots in the rankings to number 13. Now, Saturday will be their first big challenge as they face off against number 24 Texas A&M at College Station. Trust, you don't want to miss it. Now, as we can see, Canes women's basketball is dancing because the new season schedule has finally been released, along with the men's, and it's a good one. Both teams are coming off incredible seasons and runs where they got the job done in the NCAA tournament last year, especially the men who made it to the Elite Eight. And this season will kick off in December as the men will take on Louisville and the women will take on FSU. And volleyball is having the time of their lives. They just beat UNC Wilmington 3-0 on Sunday and will now look to carry that momentum against South Carolina at home tonight. In fact, the game is happening right now. Tune in after SportsDesk. I'm positive it's going to be a good show. Well, that's all the time I have for you today. As always, remember, be blessed. Don't stress, because you know where to find me right here on Fridays at SportsDesk. I'm Niles Nassim.
Canes Hoops is getting ready for another season, and fans are ready to pack the Watsco Center with some heightened expectations this year. Let's go over to our Hurricane Hang Time crew for a preview of this year's schedule for the men's and women's teams.
Welcome to this week's edition of Hurricane Hang Time, the very first edition of the season. I'm your host, Justin Wagner, joined by analysts Jake Baum and Juliana Warnock. Now, Jake, the men's squad has a couple tune-up games to start the season, but as mid-November comes, it's when the competition starts to ramp up a little bit with the Naismith Hall of Fame tournament, ACC Big Ten Challenge, along with a couple conference foes in there early on. Now, Jake, amongst these matchups, which stand out to you the most early on to start the season?
Well, their first test is going to be November 19th against Providence. Providence was ranked number 13 going into the tournament last year. ACC play starts November 30th against Rutgers, and then December 31st, a New Year's Eve game against Notre Dame in South Bend.
Definitely a couple of challenges in there early on, but as we know, after the New Year's, we really start to delve deep into ACC play, and the Canes probably had their toughest road stretch there in late January. Now, overall, with the rest of ACC, where do you see the Canes in that mix?
They're looking for an ACC championship after making it to the semifinals last year and unfortunately losing to Duke, and then making an Elite Eight run after that. They extended Coach L through the 2026 season. They're not satisfied with what they did last year. They're looking to make it to the Final Four.
Definitely going to be a hard-fought season. But now on to the women's side. Juliana, the women's squad has a tougher road there in the first 2 months of the season, facing a couple Power 5 tournament caliber teams and a couple rivalry matchups sprinkled in there. Where do you see the Canes being tested most to start the season?
Yeah, for sure. The Hurricanes are projected to be very dynamic on the court this season. Being seeded 8th last tournament, they can go all the way with their team that they have. They definitely are going to be tested when it comes to the ACC Big Ten Challenge, having to play challenging teams but nothing they can't handle, like NC State, Notre Dame, and last year champs South Carolina.
Right, and with the ACC being competitive year in and year out, where do you see Miami stacking up with top flight teams like Louisville, Notre Dame, and the rest of the conference?
Yeah, so I think they're looking very strong, and they're definitely competitive against those big teams, especially with the key additions that they made this year.
Definitely a lot to look forward to, but that does it for this week's edition of Hurricane Hang Time. Back to you guys at the desk.
Still ahead on SportsDesk, 2 Miami relievers took the road less traveled back to Coral Gables. Reporter Cal Friedman has the story and more when we return. Stay with us, you do not want to miss it.
You thinking about retirement?
Of course I've thought about it, but there's all this stuff in the way.
Oh, you're not kidding.
The house, the kids are going to college.
My new car.
Car? You bought a new car?
Oh, hey, you should meet my friend Avo. Avo's a retirement coach. He'll help get you started.
But what does Avo tell you to do?
You don't know? Focus on your future. Your goals can still be met.
But how?
Target your tomorrow. and use the Avo bet.
You sing?
Not really. A is for taking action. Start off with a plan.
You built these letters?
Yep. V is for variety. There's so many ways you can.
I follow you.
Come on. O's for optimize your savings.
Let Avo lead the way.
Visit aceyourretirement.org today.
Nice sign.
Thanks, I made it myself.
Cool.
Welcome back to Sports Desk. And Wyatt, the Hurricanes had a couple departures on the baseball field so far this season, but it's the heat of the MLB season.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's been almost 4 months since the College World Series. The Hurricanes actually hosted that Coral Gables Regional. Came out of it disappointed, however, saw multiple of their starting arms go to the MLB draft, not to mention Jake Garland, Carson Palmquist, magnificent in that season, going 3rd round. So they had a lot of arms leave, but they have a lot of arms to step up, especially Andrew Walters.
Well, yeah, they definitely got a lot of talent coming back, but they're going to have to replace a lot of key guys so far, and Miami had a good season last year.
They had a great season last year, and Cal Freeman had a chance to catch up with a couple of starting arms in Miami natives this year.
Canes baseball relievers Alejandro Torres and Ronaldo Gallo are Miami natives who dreamed after playing for the Miami Hurricanes their entire lives. And after getting a taste of college baseball, they both have learned exactly what it means to represent UM.
You grow up down here in Miami, and I mean, it's hard for you to not want to be a Miami Hurricane. I mean, I feel like I'm living a dream, but at the same time, I know I worked for it too, and this is what every ball player should dream of. You know what I'm saying?
Torres played high school ball at Bell and Jesuit, while Gallo played at Miami Southridge. But both relievers know the value in playing in South Florida.
There's a lot of area scouts or good high school baseball teams that are involved with the community, and scouts love to go watch and go play at high schools because the environment is so good.
You grew up in South Florida, baseball's a culture down here.
Even 3 years removed from their high school careers, both remember games like it was yesterday.
I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're a private school, public school, whatever school is the talk, everybody wants to play them.
Playing down here, it was a whole lot of fun. It was a whole lot of competitiveness. I mean, some games got a little heated, but I mean, hey, it's Miami. I wouldn't expect anything less.
Although their journeys to UM were very different, their love and pride for the Miami baseball program was almost identical.
Coming to Miami games since I was 5-6 years old, and there's no other program like the University of Miami.
A Friday night, Saturday night, even Sundays, like people are rolling into the ballpark. It's unbelievable. It feels different. The air's different here. I mean it. I really do.
Torres and Gallo grew as relievers last season, but to them, they're the same high school kids living out their childhood dreams. For UMTV, I'm Cal Friedman.
Albert Pujols is once again a St. Louis Cardinal this season, all back where he started in 2001. But even at almost 43 years old, the 11-time All-Star has hit almost 20 home runs this season. Let's go up to PNC Park for this edition of the Play of the Day. Crucial situation for the Redbirds here on the road, but not for long as Pujols sends an absolute bomb out to center field. Fastball up in the zone. That gave the Cardinals a 3-2 lead, and there you see it right on your screen. His 697th career home run, passing Alex Rodriguez, the man who played in pinstripes for so long, and Albert Pujols just doing it to his finest. That was his 18th home run this season, and the Steel City in absolute shock with some Redbird supporters.
And staying in Pittsburgh, 2 family members of a Pirates legend shared a very special moment in the Steel City yesterday. Let's take a look. Yesterday was Roberto Clemente Day in the MLB, and no better way to celebrate it than getting 2 family members of Roberto Clemente to come out to the Pirates game and throw out a first pitch here. You got the little guy and you got his dad, and look at the 2 of them. They're going to get it up there. The dad's going to throw a little bit of a fake here and let the little guy go first and at the same time. And that is a strike right over the middle of the plate. Not surprising as you think about who their relative was there, Wyatt.
Embrick, I mean, it's certainly a heartwarming sight to see, especially given the impact of Roberto Clemente in the community. That's what you want. It always goes back to the community impact as well. But, of course, can't really pass up the looks on these guys' sneakers game as well. Did you see all the colors on these sneakers?
No, you got a bunch of sneakers, and you always like to see there being a bigger impact to sports than just, the games. That's always nice to see.
I know. I'm expecting to see that guy in the minors relatively soon, pounding some strikes soon.
No, yeah, definitely. Well, that is all the time we have for tonight's edition of SportsDesk. You can join us here, same time, same place, next week.
Have a good night. Stay safe.